of WGN Sports.
Welcome to the South Side as the White Sox take on the red-hot Minnesota Twins from here at Guaranteed Rate Field, game number 1 of a 3-game series. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Twins are 3-0 to open the season for the first time in 10 years, and we certainly know there's power at the top of that lineup.
They've got some guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and there's 2 guys here tonight that had 40 or more home runs in the Central Division, and we'll take a look at them because one is playing second base for the Twins, and that's Brian Dozier. He had 42 of them last year. He really turned it on second half of the season. Brian Dozier, who was a shortstop, moved to second. It suits him well. 40 home runs for Todd Frazier, who did a lot of damage to these Twins, and looking for his first home run of the season tonight. There you look at what they did against the respective teams. 8 home runs against our Sox. Todd Frazier with 5 home runs against the Twins. Both of these guys looking for their first run batted in, looking for their first home run. Both of them are going to get it pretty soon.
Well, Giovanni Soto had 2 in his return to the White Sox in yesterday's game. A new face on the mound today for Chicago, that's Derek Holland.
Derek Holland had a spring that was pretty good, and he earned his way onto the ball club. This is a guy who, when healthy, can pitch. And he has been healthy. He's a big, strong guy with a good slider inside. He was tough on our Sox. And he won't have Brett Lawrie to kick around anymore. So Derek Holland, now wearing the Sox uniform, looking for a good outing here tonight. There you see what Hughes has done against our Sox at 5-6, but the ERA terrific at 2.98. Derek Holland, on the other hand, who hasn't seen these Twins since 2013, 2-3 with a 440 earned run average. And so both of these guys on a very cold night trying to keep the ball in the ballpark. For Phil Hughes, he throws everything away from the hitters. Look away, we're going to get him.
He's the opposition for Derek Holland as the Sox try to give the Twins their first loss of the year. It's still warm enough to throw the beanbag outside. That's good news. First pitch just around the corner. White Sox baseball is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Stop by today or visit buyhyundai.com and see why at Hyundai, better drives us. State Farm, here to help life go right. Meijer, true Chicago fans. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. And by Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. Driving toward game 162, Sox and Twins. This is game number 3 of the year for the Sox, and the first game in a Sox uniform for Derek Holland, who's in the top 10 in wins and strikeouts in Texas Rangers history. He has not been healthy the last couple years, but Rick Renteria really likes the way he handles himself.
This guy's a pretty high energy guy, pretty hard worker. Like I said, he's kind of a horse mentality. You know, he's a strong young man that he wants to go out there and he wants the ball, he wants to pitch, he wants to dominate the zone. He's a competitor. I think all the things that you need from a guy that's been around. I mean, this guy's been around in some pretty good situations in his career. So it's to our benefit to have him out there on the hill for us today.
That type of veteran leadership the Sox can use on the mound.
Here's what he's battling tonight. Long after the physical aspects of an injury are gone, the psychological aspects continue. He can get over that, I'm pretty sure, because he looked good in spring training. You never really know what you're going to bring forth to the season, however. Judging by spring, it doesn't really matter. So hopefully tonight he can feel free and easy and let it go. If he can, he's a good one.
He'll face a very patient Minnesota Twins lineup. We'll tell you more about that when we come back as we put game number 1 of the series on the grill. Brian Dozier at the top, dangerous leadoff man. Robbie Grossman, who had a great year after being picked up in May. Buxton, Sano, Polanco, Kepler, a lot of young talent. Our old friend Eduardo Escobar, Chris Jimenez, and Eddie Rosario, the 9 for Paul Molitor.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Derek Holland. Left to right, Melky Cabrera. Leury Garcia getting the nod in center field with Avisail Garcia off to a hot start in right. It's Todd Frazier, Tim Anderson, Tyler Saladino, and Jose Abreu in the infield, with Giovanni Soto coming off a 2-home-run outing yesterday, and Derek Holland on the hill looking for his first win of the season, and this is his first start. There you look at the numbers from last year with Texas. They weren't good, but he wasn't entirely healthy. And when he is pretty good. We'll take a look at the umpires for the game tonight. Chris Guccione behind the plate, Carlos Torres at first, Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, is at second, Paul Nauert is at third. And so on a very cool night, 46 degrees at game time. The wind has settled down somewhat. We're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to Mr. Bonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. So glad to have you all along for White Sox baseball tonight. Sox are 1-1 after a big win yesterday afternoon, 11-2 against the Tigers. And the Twins, who gave up only 5 runs in a 3-game series against Kansas City, come into town playing as well at the beginning of his season as they have under Paul Molitor. So Derek Holland to face Brian Dozier, the 29-year-old who had the 42 homers last year tied for third in Major League Baseball. He loves swinging at the first pitch, and Todd Frazier loves larceny. One down.
Terrific way to start it off. Todd Frazier, who's had a very good early season defensively, makes a gem here and keeps a base stealer off base. With a quick step to his left, and that's what you need, a really fast first quick step. And he gets it over there in plenty of time to retire Dozier, who has 8 career home runs against Sox pitching.
That was a great play, especially first pitch of the game, getting settled in.
Well, the game plan has always been with Dozier. He loves to swing at a first pitch, especially a fastball. And it worked out pretty well.
Robbie Grossman takes inside, ball and a strike to the designated hitter, who was a free agent signee mid-May last year. And when the Twins came into town with him in tow, later on, a couple weeks later, they were very happy with his production, especially at the beginning of his tenure last season.
Well, they love the fact that he swings the bat from both sides, and in the 2 spot, he's got some responsibilities he wouldn't have in other spots in the batting order because Dozier is a base stealer, but he doesn't have to worry about that in this at bat.
It's inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You know, you brought up that great series they had against Kansas City. The bullpen didn't give up a run, and last year the bullpen was abysmal. So a radical departure from a season ago.
With a lot of the same names in that bullpen.
Yep.
23 walks for the Twins in that first series for Paul Molitor, one of the top 10 hitmen of all time in Major League Baseball. 3-2, 1 down. Left side, Tim Anderson cleanly for out number 2.
Here's our Ryan Kelly home field fact. New this year at the ballpark, the Kraft Cave, that's Kraft Cave, in the right field corner of Guaranteed Rate Field. You can choose from 75 craft beers, burgers, mini donuts, or a brisket mac and cheese sandwich. That sounds terrific. Home Field Facts brought to you by Ryan Kelly, thehomeloanexpert.com.
Those are some onion rings right there. That was a tower.
Beautiful.
2 down for Byron Buxton, who is still just 23 years old and is one of the few guys that's really scuffled in the opening 3 games.
Last 6 weeks of last year, he finally showed what he can do, and that is a 5-tool player with every one of those tools better than Major League average by a wide margin.
Strike 2 on Buxton, former draft pick of the Twins 5 years ago.
And he was #1 rated prospect in the major leagues for probably 2.5 of those years.
Chasing windmills this time. 3 up, 3 down for Derek Holland in the first. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Familiar lineup: Saladino, Anderson, Cabrera, Abreu, Frazier at the top. Ashe playing against the right-handed pitcher in for Davidson. Then Garcia, Giovanni Soto back in after 2 homers yesterday. And Leury Garcia gets his first start.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Phil Hughes. It's Rosario, Buxton, and Kepler in the outfield, and it's a good one. All can run and throw. Escobar, Polanco, Dozier, and Sano playing first base. In the infield, Chris Jimenez behind the plate. Phil Hughes on the hill off a very disappointing last year that ended with surgery. And there you look at what happened, and it wasn't good. He was not healthy. When healthy, he's usually very good. He is lifetime over 500. Pitched with some very good Yankee teams and had one really good year with these Twins.
He throws strike 1 to Tyler Saladino. He's 2 for 7, does have 3 walks on the year. Phil Hughes out of Santa Ana, California, where it is 69 degrees as of game time today. We're just going to think about the warm weather that's coming over the weekend.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be on Sunday 75 somewhere.
Here.
Oh.
Saladino blasts off center field. Buxton a long run to the warning track, and he makes the catch. The hatless bandit.
Byron Buxton is one of the great covers of ground in all of baseball. He can go get him. He's got exceptional speed. Even when he was at his worst offensively, he never lost the ability to play defense. He's got a strong arm. He's very accurate. He can go get him alley to alley. And here was, for the Twins, a great way to start this defensive effort. They did not make an error in the 3 games against Kansas City, and that's unusual for them.
And you said it when you were talking about the defense. This is an exceptional outfield in terms of skill defensively.
No, they can all run, they can all throw, and they're all accurate. I mean, whether it's Rosario, Buxton, or Kepler, you're not going to take too many liberties because all these guys have very strong arms.
Ball and a strike on Anderson. Tim, 2 out of 9 so far this season, a run, an RBI. First time he's gotten a look at the right-hander Phil Hughes, who's been in the majors since 2007 and has this one sheared by the Sox young shortstop Anderson. A 1-out single, 2 hard-hit balls.
Tim's got a very lively bat and gets a belt-high fastball on the outer third of the plate and does exactly what he should do, which is take it to right and right center field. You roll over that one, probably get a ground ball to the left side. He didn't do it, and now you've got a base-stealing threat with, bear in mind, Phil Hughes very slow to home plate. He normally is relatively easy to run against.
Here's the very bundled up Melky Cabrera. Melky looks like he could play baseball, then go ice fishing after the game. Strike number 1.
As long as he keeps swinging it like he swung it the first 2 games of the season, Sox are going to be in pretty good shape. Melky, their most dependable hitter last year, just had a great series. He put the bat on the ball, squared it up quite a bit, and off to a red-hot start.
All 3 hits are doubles for Melky so far. A couple of former Yankees, Hughes and Cabrera, and Melky takes a strike. 0-2.
Hughes normally has pinpoint control, and even though the stuff has not been real good over the last few years, in fact, he's lost velocity each and every one of the years for the last 3 years. But he really doesn't need big velocity to be successful because he's got such a good feeling for throwing strikes.
Popped it up, foul ground, third base side. Eduardo Escobar runs out of room. Still 2 strikes, and you can now vote for your pick to click if you care to. We hope you do. And here are our picks to click tonight. I've got Ashe, Steve's got Melky. The crew needs to pick it up, and come on, fans. Let's go.
To harken back to one of our cliches of spring training,
Yeah.
it's early yet.
Okay.
It's still early.
Right.
Plenty of time for the crew to pick it up.
You're just pandering. You want something from them. I don't know what it is yet, but you want something.
I'll send a note down to the truck.
0-2 from Hughes to Melky. There goes Tim. Throw down to second is waiting for him. Safe!
He slid away from the tag and was able to get back to the bag before the tag was laid on him. So pretty good effort by Polanco going back at Anderson, but he couldn't get him. This one way outside. Picked a good pitch to run at 0-2. The ball got down there pretty well. The hand got in before the tag. We'll take another look at it. Left hand in. Hand, I believe, will come off the bag just a bit. It was a good throw by Jimenez.
That was a point of contention the other night in the Indians game. Francisco Lindor slid over the bag, and there was a review by the Rangers, and because of instant replay, sliders into bases are having to be way more careful than they used to, because if you disconnect from the bag at any point and the tag is still on, that can be overturned. So Lindor has actually talked some about sliding feet first into second base in order to keep anchored with the bag.
Well, what's happened in the last, let's say, call it 5 to 7 years is the guy's taking throws from the catcher on stolen bases, or when a guy comes in trying to go from first to third, they'll keep the glove on him just to see if he will.
Melky on the ground, that's through, base hit. Tim gets a big stop sign at third, and the throw comes rolling into home. So first and third, one out in a first inning Sox rally.
Melky continues to be red hot as he gets a high fastball. Uses fastball these days, not going to be able to throw it by too many hitters. Dozier with a big effort, and then Nick Capra deciding not to run on Kepler, which is a wise decision.
First and third, one down, Jose Abreu, who is 4 for 9 with a pair of RBIs so far in 2017. 7 out of 24 against Hughes' career. And Jose takes ball number 1.
Hughes is what's called glove side strong, meaning the glove side, which is inside to left-handers, outside to right-handers, that's the comfort zone for Phil Hughes, who probably can throw a strike 85% of the time on that part of the plate. If he has to go inside to right-handers, he doesn't have quite the command inside, and because his fastball isn't overpowering, he is very vulnerable to the long ball.
Like that, but foul.
Jose hit the daylights out of that one, but hooked it just a touch too much.
The Twins, by the way, have only trailed for half an inning so far this year in 3 games.
Well, that's going to be put to bed here.
You feel it?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Ooh, that's frightening.
Ball to strike. Anderson at third, Melky at first. On the ground, throw, base hit. 1-0 Sox thanks to Jose Abreu.
RBI number 3, and Jose has 3 hits right back up the middle this year, where he doesn't get it all, but he gets enough of it to ease it by whoever playing shortstop. In this case, it's Polanco. Hughes tries to get it inside. He manages to get it inside. However, Jose manages to bring his hands in and get the good part of the bat on it. If you try to extend your arms on that pitch, you're going to break your bat and ground to the left side. By keeping his hands inside and hitting, as Ken Harrelson loves to say, hitting with short arms, that's exactly what he did. He brought the hands in and still was able to get enough to get it through the infield.
That's the type of pitch that was busting him early in the season last year, first couple months of the year.
Well, he's just a different hitter starting off this year. It looks like he's not trying to hit everything out of the park, and he's really going after what the pitcher is trying to do to him.
Big rip from Frazier, 0-1.
Neil Allen has tried to work with Phil Hughes on throwing inside more. Now, he's thrown inside more in this first inning, but Sox hitters coming off a huge offensive production in yesterday's game, looking like they want a whole lot more. There is Neil Allen, former Major League pitcher and a fine pitching coach.
Ball and a strike on Frazier, who's looking for his first hit of 2017. Phil Hughes, who's been in the majors now since 2007 when he made his major league debut with New York. Abreu at first, Melky at second. And 2 balls and a strike.
In 2010, Phil Hughes went 18-8 in 29 starts with the Yankees. First year over with the Twins, he went 16-10, and they did not have a good ball club, but he had a great year.
2-1 from him, and Frazier popped it up. That was a good pitch to hit. Sano will leave it to Dozier, who's a little bit more experienced, in fact a lot more experienced. Sano is making his first major league start at first base, and he nearly careened into Dozier.
He's not used to the way the ball comes off the bat on that side, but with the infield fly rule firmly in place, nobody was going anywhere as Dozier calls for it. Sano is a whole lot bigger. And fortunately for Dozier, he does not collide with a giant of a man.
Yeah, if you're in the left lane and you're driving the sedan and there's a semi in the right lane, you should probably let the semi pass before you change lanes.
That would be a delightful idea.
It's Cody Ashe, 2 on 2 out, and a block by Jimenez, who's in for Jason Castro, who the Twins picked up in the offseason and has had a very strong start to this season.
Well, they love about Castro his defensive abilities, and as the bat has somewhat settled to where he's probably going to be the rest of his career, he keeps getting better defensively, and that's what the Twins were looking for when they brought him in. He handles pitchers very well, frames pitches exceptionally well, and he's a good addition to this team.
Ashe takes a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike to Cody Ashe, and we expect that the platoon is on for a designated hitter the way the first 3 games have gone, with Davidson against the lefty yesterday.
After 59 innings last year, Phil Hughes went on the disabled list with a fractured left knee. Nice stop by Jimenez. The fractured left knee wasn't the biggest problem he had. He had to go through thoracic outlet surgery while he was on the disabled list, and they removed a rib, which he keeps in a little bottle with him. And
that's not true.
Yeah, it is true. It is definitely true. They had to do that for the surgery, and more times than not, after that surgery, a pitcher will come back with a little added velocity.
What thoracic outlet syndrome is blood vessels and nerves in the space between your collarbone and first rib get compressed. So that's why they would remove the first rib.
Because you don't want compression.
That is not why you would carry it around, however.
Well, it's a nice souvenir of making it through the surgery.
3-1. Ashe a drive, center field. Buxton is back, and he reels it in. Oh my goodness, what a play by young Byron Buxton.
There's nothing he can't do, and he showed you in this inning why he's so valuable. 2 great catches, going back, measuring it all the way, and Byron's got it.
but could have been more. Byron Buxton with a couple of thefts out in center field to take away, especially the big play being Cody Ashe's drive that would have gotten 2 runs home and made it 3-0 Sox. Derek Holland to Miguel Sano, who has massive power and is down 2 strikes.
He doesn't leave anything to chance. He swings as hard as he can in case he hits it, and he can hit it forever. However, his miss percentage of 40% with 2 strikes last year was the last in baseball. 40% of the time with 2 strikes, he went down on strikes. That's 203 out of 203 full-time players. League average 23.3%.
And that is part of the reason why, if you list everybody with 300 or more at bats last year, he had the highest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball, 36%. Number 2, by the way, was the guy before him in the lineup, Buxton. They had the 2 top strikeout rates in Major League Baseball last year, minimum 300 at bats.
Yeah, they don't want to change too much of what he does because he's so young. They want him to just get his feet on the ground and get used to Major League pitching.
It's in the air and foul. Abreu doesn't have a play.
What Sano can do is hit the ball any part of the field and make the field look small. One of the stronger guys in all of baseball. Sano came up as a third baseman. They tried him in right field. He was okay in right field because he's got a very strong arm, but he hurt a hamstring. It wasn't where he plays. He plays third base. So they let Trevor Plouffe go, opened the door for Sano to play third, where he's done a pretty good job. And he will play third when Mauer plays first. Mauer getting the night off tonight.
Against the left-hander Holland, who misses inside. 3-2 on Sano, who's actually using Joe Mauer's glove tonight to play first base. There is Jorge Polanco, who's had a bang-up start to the year. Laser foul. 25 home runs last year, 66 driven in, both second on the team for Miguel Sano. The Twins team that lost 103 times.
It's going to be a fastball away. Let's see if he can dot the glove.
He got him swinging upstairs, and 2 strikeouts in a row for Holland.
There's an example of missing your spot by a wide margin, but it turned into goal.
So Derek Holland will face Jorge Polanco. Back-to-back strikeouts for Holland against 2 guys who can certainly swing at a pitch or 2. Polanco 4 out of 6 so far in his second season with Minnesota. Just 23 years old, the shortstop.
He's a second baseman by trade. They like his range. His arm might be a touch iffy at shortstop.
To his counterpart Anderson for out number 2.
Tim has certainly come a long way. When we saw him at the beginning of spring training last year, not this year, last year, it looked like he would hit in the major leagues. The question was, could he play shortstop or would he have to move to center field because he's got great speed? When he was called back to the major leagues, all of the problems he had defensively, problems with his footwork, problems with delivering the baseball, problems with catching it with one hand on most things, he had overcome all of those to become a very good defender at short.
Sometimes when you play at a high level, you play up to the competition.
And it certainly has proven itself with Tim Anderson, because he's been better in the major leagues than he was in the minor leagues at any level.
2 strikes on Max Kepler, who hit just 203 career coming in against left-handers.
He also had a terrible spring. He hit around 150. But when the season started, he started to get to the baseball.
On the ground, second base, Saladino, tough play. Who cares? He got him. Sox are playing some defense on the infield tonight, 1-0.
At WGNTV.com, presented by Jeff Vukovich. You can go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media because Nationwide is on your side.
You saw that hat there just a moment ago, that winter hat. Tomorrow is Winter Hat Day here at the ballpark. There's Yolmer Sanchez, our hat model today.
And a very smart man because it is a bit chilly down on the field.
A little bit nippy down there. I'd give Yolmer a lot of credit if he wore that hat.
Like out to dinner?
Like during the game if he plays tomorrow.
That'd be really good.
Wouldn't that look nice?
Oh, yeah.
Would that flout a rule? You think?
Yes, I believe that would.
Uh-huh.
You'd be disqualified for poor taste while fielding.
Oh, that's not poor taste at all. Avi scoops that one to center field, but Buxton is there for out number 1.
There it is. That is the model this year.
Are those
with
heating
plaid
things that he's got in his hands there? Those supposed to keep your hands warm?
Yes, and they do a wonderful job of it for at least 2-3 minutes.
Oh, come on. They're better than that. You shake them out, put them in your gloves, right?
Oh, that's what you have to do. Shake them out.
Oh, you've just been holding them.
Sure, and they didn't seem to ever get warm.
That is a great look. Yolmer is going to end up on Twitter and Snapchat and all that stuff with that look.
In the meantime, very good curveball to start it off against Giovanni Soto, who crushed a couple of pitches yesterday. Both no doubters.
And here they are.
This of the 3-run variety. A cutter in on his hands, and he took it out. And this just a bomb to center field. Jones goes back, and it just kept on going. 4th time for 2 home runs in 1 game.
Giovanni Soto became the 7th player in Major League history yesterday with those 2 home runs to hit 2 in a game for both the Cubs and the White Sox.
That's pretty good.
Soto takes low some of the principals who've done it otherwise. Our own Darren Jackson in the radio booth, George Bell, Vance Law, who's a coach with the White Sox now, Sammy Sosa on that list.
I gave up 2 home runs in an inning for both teams. Does that count?
Counts for something against your ERA. Strike 3, Soto fans against Hughes.
Good
Who were those
off-speed
against,
pitch.
by the way?
What's that?
Who were those against?
Oh, you could name any number of teams. I mean, that wasn't a rarity. I didn't have a sinker, and with the wind blowing out at Wrigley Field, it was a nightmare. Gave up 5 home runs in 2 1/3 innings, and at the time when Jim Marshall went to take me out, I told him the record is 6. I'm only in the 3rd inning. He didn't think that was all that funny. He escorted me out of the game.
You picked a really good time to be witty.
5
with your
home
team.
runs in 2 1/3 innings.
Yeah, good time for a quick barb toward the skipper. A foul ball from Garcia. Sox lead 1-0 on an RBI single from Jose Abreu. Sox have scored now in 2 of the 3 first innings so far this season. 30-year-old Phil Hughes sees that one get slashed to left center, and Garcia watches it carry over Buxton's head. Leury Garcia, in his first start of the year, bashes a 2-out double.
Buxton was not overly deep in center field because he didn't expect Leury to hit the ball near this hard. But this ball not only was hit hard, it was slicing away from Buxton. Hughes doesn't have much of a sinker. He throws a lot of fastballs that are belt high and above. Consequently, he'll give up some fly balls and a few doubles here and there. That's exactly what Leury was able to accomplish. Also accomplished getting it away from Buxton so he couldn't run it down.
That is a rarity early in this game with the 2 plays he's made. One on Saladino and one on Cody Ashley with 2 out in the first. Here's a hook for a strike from Hughes. That is career double number 6 for Leury Garcia in the majors. And that is 2 strikes now on Saladino.
Leury with very good speed, and now Jimenez going out to the mound to talk with Hughes. Many times with a man at second base, when the catcher goes out there, he will tell his pitcher, I'm not going to hang any signs, nothing that means anything, in case they are actually looking in to see them. And I want you to throw whatever it is you're going to throw, just tell me, and they run through it without signs.
For that one next pitch. It's a high fastball that Saladino does not swing at. 1-2. Garcia at second, 2 down. Sox continuing the season opening homestand before a long road trip starting on Tuesday, beginning in Cleveland. Breaking ball stayed in the zone for a while. Buxton is on it though, and that will retire the side. Garcia left at second. Sox still lead 1-0. For new Sox pitcher Derek Holland, and that's not exactly the 7th down we expected. Escobar is hit by Holland to start the 3rd.
Just barely got a piece of the uniform. And he got out of there in a hurry, fortunately.
45 games as a Sox player for Escobar, and that's not the most cordial welcome back.
No, and he's a terrific guy. They really love him in Minnesota. They loved him here when he was wearing a White Sox uniform. He can also play a number of positions.
Here's the well-traveled catcher Chris Jimenez, who's a .310 career hitter against the Sox in all of his travels.
And they figured instead of Castro, the left-hander, would take advantage of this particular matchup.
Jimenez to left center field. Garcia motors over and nicely keeps Escobar to second base.
Jimenez hits it hard and does what he usually does against the Sox. Hit it safely. with the lefty-lefty situation here, you would think Paul Molitor would have Rosario bunting. Unless he knows that Rosario can't bunt, then he will allow him to swing away.
He's not a bad hitter against left-handers career. We'll see. There is the bunt, and he looked like he drew it back. He did.
He wants to bunt it right at Todd Frazier, making sure to keep it away from what probably will be charging Holland. There's a look at the Hall of Famer, Paul Molitor. Even with the new administration, Derek Falvey, the executive vice president, chief baseball officer, Thad Levine is the general manager and senior vice president. So they've changed over from Terry Ryan.
He swings away here. Ball and a strike on Rosario, who actually career is 11 points better batting average wise and 20 points better on base wise against left-handers. He's a better slugger against righties, but he gets on base better against left-handers.
And the key to that is keeping the front shoulder in. If you fly open with the front shoulder, you can't get coverage on the outside part of the plate.
It shows bunt again. It takes. You're talking about the new administration for the Twins.
Yep.
There's all that young talent, and it'll be interesting to see who shakes out of that with a little bit more emphasis on numbers.
Well, it was time to make a change. And as good a baseball man as Terry Ryan has been over the course of his career, they wanted to bring in some younger guys. They wanted them to get more oriented to using statistical analysis, and this twosome will do that.
On the ground should be two. Anderson feeds Saladino, and there it is. 6-4-3. Holland gets the ground ball. 2 down.
The inability to bunt potentially takes them out of what could have been a big inning. This looks like a tailor-made 4-6-3 when it leaves the bat. Now there's Saladino's got to get something on it, and he beats Rosario by a good 3 steps.
Saladino looked like he was trying to figure out where the shift was going to be for Dozier.
Well, it's a dead pull hitter, and he was one of the more prolific pull hitters in the major leagues the last few years. That's the way they're defending him.
Pitch him inside to start. That's ball 1. Told you about the power from Dozier last year. 42 homers, up from 28 the year before. And his late season last year, well, he just did not want to be around that guy after the All-Star break.
No, and everybody thought that he was going to be moved. And I know they talked to a number of teams about Dozier, who's got a team-friendly contract for the next couple of years. But nobody wanted to pay the price that the Twins felt he was worth.
Steve, he hit 23 of those 42 homers in August and September.
Yeah, he closed it out really well. And when you consider, you got a baseball team lost 103 games, and they kept pitching to Dozier, and he kept hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
2 out for Holland, and Dozier a fly ball right field. Avi has it measured for out number 3. 2 on, nobody out, did not matter. Holland pitches around it. 1-0 Sox. From here at Guaranteed Rate Field, and last night in Charlotte, Yoan Moncada in his first 2 at-bats as a Charlotte Knight and a White Sox minor leaguer had a couple of hits. Then in a close game, Zach Birdie came in and got a big strikeout to help force the Knights 2 extra innings and end up getting a victory in the opener against the Norfolk Tides. That pushed the game to 11. The Knights scored on a hit by Kevin Smith in the home 11th in Charlotte. The AAA club is now 1-0 and underway already with a big lead tonight. But a good sign for Moncada, who came over in the Chris Sale trade to have 3 hits in the opener.
Well, he showed that he can hit from both sides of the plate. He's got great speed. He's got enough speed to steal 65 bases if he wants to. For a guy that's in the neighborhood of 6'2", 215, that's a good trick. And there you see the farm report. Zach Collins of Winston-Salem, 3 for 4. Yoan Moncada, he went 3 for 6. Kevin Smith, 4 for 6 at AAA Charlotte. So a big night by the boys down on the farm.
Anderson chops it foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Smith had the game-winning RBI, and you look at what Zach Collins did as well. Here's a guy we know he can hit. And the reviews out of spring training were very good in terms of his catching ability.
No, I think he's got a chance to be a player. The one question everybody thought that he would hit, because he's got a great eye and big power, was could he catch in the major leagues? And he showed a whole lot of signs of being pretty good.
Anderson pops it up, and Brian Dozier is there for out number 1.
Chicagoland viewers, text Subway 3 to 97999 right now. The 300th texter is going to win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Don't miss out on the Subway Triple Play promotion.
Talked about Charlotte and the offensive surge tonight. The AAA club is up 9-1, and Yoan Moncada is 3 for 4 already. So that makes him 6 out of 10.
I don't think the question is will he hit. He is going to hit. He's going to be a destructive offensive player. If there is one question, it's defense at second base, which he seems to be getting better at. And he will be not only a major league player, he's going to be, barring injury, we have to use that caveat, he's going to be an excellent major league player.
On the ground at first and 2 away here in the 3rd. 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. Go to rate.com for a low rate and the best mortgage experience on the planet. Guaranteed Rate, sponsor of your 2017 Chicago White Sox.
By the way,
yeah,
very nice of Sheena and Hannah to come up and drop us off one of the newest additions to the ballpark. Very cute little donuts.
Fried donuts.
Probably no calories in these, which is good.
Here's Abreu. Take ball number 1. I feel like Belushi, right? Little chocolate donuts. Isn't that the skit that he used to do when he was running in the track meet on SNL?
Yeah, I believe it was. That was before my time, though.
What?
How's the donut?
Why are you laughing at me?
Well, no, I just, the donuts are good.
You're saying I'm unprofessional?
No, are you kidding?
Abreu, fly ball. Center field, and Buxton tracking it for out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Phil Hughes. 1-0. The Sox have the lead after 3 tonight. want, send in some of your stuff for our prize shelf, right? So from Matt Chaplin of Wellington, Florida, that's his note. He says, for your incredible prize shelf, this is a 1989 scorecard that you can win today. And this is a comic book from the early 2000s, we believe, a White Sox comic book.
Well, you've got prominently featured Magglio Ordonez, Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, all involved with this delightful thing.
It's like X-Men, but with White Sox. That cleat, by the way, is Gordon Beckham's final cleat here. It was signed and given to us for the prize shelf as well. Todd Frazier's gloves are still there. And here, the first batter lines it down the right field side. Robbie Grossman on his way into second base with a leadoff Twins double here in the fourth.
Grossman's going to get some playing time because he can hit left-handed pitchers. As he slices this one down the line, it rattles around for a bit. He winds up at second base, leaving Buxton with a job to do. We've seen him bunt a number of times, but hitting in the 3 spot, you'd think Paul Molitor would have him trying to hit the ball to the right side.
It's a great job by the security guard. Get away from that ball. Future Rockette. So here's Buxton to take ball number 1. Twins have leadoff man aboard for the second straight inning. Holland has been rather economically sound. 36 pitches through now 11 batters, this being the 12th.
So far, the strikes to balls pretty strong for Derek Holland, and this his first start. It'll be a tough inning to get out of to hold the Twins with no runs.
Well, with Grossman leading off with a double, you then have Buxton in the 3 spot. Part of the reason to have him in the 3 spot is to give him a chance to get on base and run around a little bit in that first inning. Say he comes up with 2 out, nobody on, he gets on. That gives you the opportunity to have a clear base path in front of you. Now he's jammed up a little bit with Grossman, but the Twins certainly take the double. Derek Holland, we told you he was dinged up the last couple of years. And the hope for him is that he can finish and start this season with the Sox. 2-2 on Buxton.
That was a very good off-speed pitch. Had an over-anxious young hitter well out in front of it.
Where do you go here on 2-2?
Well, the way Buxton swings, he swings at most things. If you can drop another curveball down even in the dirt, he's probably going to be swinging at it.
2-2. He got him inside swinging. Holland's third strikeout.
He threw him the breaking ball. He threw a hard slider in on his hands well off the plate, and Buxton just swings through it. So a non-productive at bat with a man at second base and nobody out. Got to do whatever you can to get that ball to the right side.
So here is Sano, and part of that is shortening your swing, right?
Shortening your swing. The easiest way for a right-hand hitter to do it, especially if a guy's pitching you inside, is what's called an inside-out stroke, where you lead with your hands instead of the barrel of the bat. That ball into center field, and Grossman,
they got a play over
races.
third. Grossman is safe. Throw is offline.
That goes E1. It was a good idea, but somebody has got to be there, and Tyler Saladino was not expecting it. He did not get to the bag, and that made it almost impossible for anybody to corral this throw.
Sox had a chance at Grossman there. We've got a late jump on the way to third because of the slide. Sano hits it in the air. This is short right field. Abreu in foul ground. Avi dropped it. Throw to the plate is high, and the Twins are on the board.
Grossman scores the first Twin run. And it goes E9, the second error of the inning. Abreu drifting back. This is a tough play for him as the ball swirls back in to fair territory, and Avi just missed it. Good job of backing up, by the way, by Holland as he gets behind Soto. And when the throw goes over his head, he is there to make sure there's no advancement.
So the Twins score on a couple of errors, and here is Jorge Polanco to take ball number 1. No RBI given, but you could make an argument that if that ball was caught with Garcia falling into foul ground, Grossman was going to score. Especially if Abreu was the one that was going to catch the ball.
Well, if Abreu caught it, then it's a guaranteed go. But if in fact Avi would have caught it, they realize the arm is strong. I'm not sure if he was going to go anywhere, but we'll see how this plays out. That's the second error of the year for Avi.
Polanco to right field. And there's out number 2. Here's your Sox Math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer on Twitter wins a prize off the prize shelf. Number of homers for Soto yesterday times the number of homers for Davidson minus the number of major league teams Rick Renteria played with, and then add the number of first-round draft picks the White Sox had in 2016. Cue Baller 82 won yesterday. Who's going to win today? We'll find out very soon. Here's your question. Single digits. You can do it on your fingers.
You could.
First pitch from Holland is a strike to Max Kepler, who grounded out in the second inning. Derek Holland retired the first 6 batters he faced in this game in his White Sox debut.
The Twins love the upside of Kepler, who's pretty sound in just about everything he does. He's not going to have the normal power of a corner outfielder. 20 home runs might be a little optimistic, but he can hit, make solid contact, a very good defender with a very accurate and strong arm. And of course he has youth on his side. He's now starting to learn what pitchers are trying to do with him, but he's got some skills.
Former MVP in Double-A Kepler a couple of years ago for the Twins. Got a very short stint in the majors 2 seasons ago. Full season last year, just about. 2 strikes on him. Sano at first. 1-2. Derek Holland has dealt with knee injuries, shoulder trouble as well.
His goal, plain and simple, is to stay healthy, because if he is healthy, he's going to be able to win.
1-2 on Kepler, and he thought about it and laid off. 2-2.
There's his major league record, 12 over 500 in 158 starts. That's pretty good in this day and age of a lot of big hitters and the ball going out of the ballpark ever more frequently these days.
Just off the plate, it is 3-2 on Kepler. That was ball 3. Close pitch as Escobar waits for a possible chance with 2 down.
Wisely Abreu behind Sano at first base. Going to get a little better angle if Kepler can pull the ball.
3-2. He does pull it foul. Twins only have 2 hits through 3 2/3 against Holland, as Yolmer Sanchez continues to try to find a runway to model that on.
Good looking hat. Plus very functional. Because it is cold down there.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch number 50 for Holland tonight is a fly ball to left field. Melky Cabrera has the call, and the inning's over. Twins used 2 errors to get on the board. We're at 1-1 after 3.5.
By visiting WGNTV.com and click on the Game Zone for the latest stats and information. Dodd Camera, family owned and serving Chicagoland for over 125 years. Dodd Camera, where the focus is on you.
Phil Hughes, Todd Frazier, your matchup to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. And there is ball 1 to Todd, who we've talked about was pretty much a dead pull hitter in terms of his home runs last year. He loves the left field side here at Guaranteed Rate Field, but that's not always been the case in terms of his power in his career.
I'm thinking the first hit of the year is forthcoming in this at bat, although they have overshifted on him. And that won't get it done.
Popped it up. It is the catcher Jimenez for out number 1. White Sox fans, join us tomorrow at 1:10 p.m. as the Sox take on the Minnesota Twins. First 15,000 fans get a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. There it is. Here's the plaid one. That's the one you're going to get tomorrow.
Cody Asche hit the ball very well. In fact, crushed it to end the first inning, but for some heroics of Byron Buxton, it would have fallen and plated 2. He made the play and plated no one.
Ball and a strike on Asche, who's looking for that first Sox hit. Got jammed a little bit, and Buxton saunters in for out number 2. Phil Hughes changed a little bit as a pitcher last season. He's a guy that, if you look at the numbers and what he threw, the fastballs were down some, the curveballs were up as he goes through his time in Minnesota. Fastballs down 10% last year. Curves were up 7%. So were the cutters, 5%.
Well, last couple of years he's lost velocity, and that probably contributes to going to something else to try to get it done. Pitchers, like hitters, have to adapt, and sometimes that pitch that you count on is not working. You have to have something else to do. So he went to the cutter more frequently. He's got a very good curveball, always has, and the best part about it for him is his command of it. He can throw it for a strike pretty much when he wants to.
You were that type of pitcher, right? You threw very hard coming up and then changed to a heavy dose of curveball.
Yeah, a couple of years, 4 cases of tendonitis with San Francisco and Candlestick Park took a lot of velocity away. But it took me 2 full years to realize that although I was throwing just as hard, it wasn't getting there as fast.
2 years.
2 years. I mean, I felt like I had it, but realistically, I just didn't. It never came back, and so I had to make an adjustment. That adjustment was with varying speeds of curveball. I threw 3 different speeds because I couldn't throw a straight change, which is, it seems strange, but it's a very difficult pitch to master. Maybe the most difficult other than the knuckleball of all the pitches.
You said you couldn't throw a straight change.
No, I could, and I tried every grip imaginable, and just it didn't work. So I figured off-speed breaking balls, if I can get them over the plate, better than change-ups that I miss with.
That's a close pitch, and it was a strike. 1-2 on Avi Garcia, who's 4 out of 10 this season.
Well, we're seeing some of the evidence that Neil Allen has gotten through to Phil Hughes because he's throwing more inside pitches here tonight than he did at any time we've ever seen him during the course of his career against our Sox. There's Neil Allen looking out at a veteran right-hander, a guy who's had a lot of success during his career, hoping to come back from that injury-plagued season last year.
Just 11 starts last year for the Twins for Phil Hughes. 2-2. Breaking ball hammered foul.
He did a nice job of staying with that because the initial break of the ball buckled his knees, but he kept his hands back and was able to make sure it didn't get into Jimenez's glove.
Time called by Garcia. Sox got a run in the first inning on 3 straight hits from Anderson, Cabrera, and Abreu, and since then only 1 hit. That was a 2-out double for Leury Garcia in the second. Fly ball right field. Kepler for the final out. 7 in a row sent away by Mr. Hughes. 1-1 your tie after 4.
the Romeo Orthopedic injury report, and it's David Price on the 10-day DL on April 1st. It's going to be a while till he comes back. Last year, a terrific year for him and the Red Sox. He's got some help, another left-hander to the rescue, Chris Sale, who's thrown it real well in his only start. The injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo, proud member of the Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342.
Great maiden voyage in Boston for Sale as Escobar flies this to left. Melky hot on its tail for out number 1. We have a Sox math answer we need to get you, and we have a winner as well. Here's your answer. Soto had 2 homers. Davidson had 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Ricky Renteria played for 3 major league teams, -1. +2, 2 first-round draft picks. Zach Birdie, Zach Collins. Your winner is Ryan Bovard, who was on the Bovard of Broken Dreams for everyone else who played.
Wow.
Congratulations, Ryan.
You'll get your pick of a lot of really nice things off the prize shelf.
And to be clear, you get to select what you'd like off the prize shelf. We will send you what we want.
Right.
Normally you get your pick, but sometimes if we don't like you very much, you get something else.
Well, you could be eligible for this fun meter,
Yep.
but we can't give it away. It was on loan.
We also have our rollover jackpot. Our Sox thermos, which is signed every day somebody doesn't take it by a new member of the press box. First day it was Steve Stone. Yesterday it was legendary engineer Bill Carambellas. Today, there's a grounder to third. Frazier picks it back up and throws in time to get Jimenez.
Fortunately, a slow-running catcher going up the line and gave Todd Frazier just a little bit more time to get it over there after the bobble. Frazier well off the line. This hit right at him, and as it bounces up, he realizes with the catcher running, you got some time. Jose Abreu having a good night at first base, picking up low throws.
That saved a base runner, and it's a 2-out for Eddie Rosario. The signature on the thermos today is of Corey Provis, Chicago's suburbanite, now Twins radio announcer. So here's Corey's signature. His family, I'm sure, will love it.
And a very nice man is Corey Provis.
Yes, he is. Very good announcer. Always nice to see Corey. Does some Big Ten sports during the offseason. Out over there with Dan Gladden in the Twins radio booth. One of the Twins legends.
And you know they're ecstatic about the start of this season for the Twins.
Abreu knocks it down. Holland scoops it to him. Safe.
Well, Jose couldn't get it on the ground and then bobbled it on the flip. Would have been a very close play anyway, but if it's caught cleanly, he's out. Instead, the inning continues. We'll watch it again. He swats it in front of him, and then Holland to him. And the ball gets away, and the safe call by Carlos Torres. I think if he holds on to it, he's out at first.
I think so. Yep. It's an error on Abreu, Sox third error in the last 2 innings. And so Dozier will bat with a runner on. 42 home runs last year. 30 were solo shots for Dozier.
One of the reasons why he's hitting as a leadoff hitter with all of that production is, number one, he is a good base stealer, a good base runner. But more than that, Paul Molitor thinking he'll see more fastballs as a leadoff hitter. See more fastballs because he is one of their better base stealers.
He's got 3 already this year. Dozier does.
There's not a whole lot of guys around baseball that have premier speed as well as big power. Dozier's one of those guys. Mike Trout, another one of those guys. But they're few and far between.
Well, you wonder if Dozier's power, which certainly is substantial, will reach the heights that it did at the end of last year. I mean, 42 is quite the departure from 28.
But he's averaged 28 home runs over the last 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, this is a guy that just has big power. When you put up those numbers at Target Field, which is not an easy place to hit home runs, you know you have pretty substantial power. And with him, he doesn't use right center field very much. Most of his home runs, the overwhelming majority of the home runs, have come to left field.
Rosario at first, 2 down. Pop foul. Join the 2017 Sox Pride Club for exclusive ticket offers, membership gifts, game day opportunities, ballpark tours, MLB.com, game day audio for your computer, and more. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today. Sox trying to give the Twins their first loss of 2017. Team that opened 0-9 last year.
0-9 on its way to just a horrific season. 103 losses. Not much went right for them. But they've got the foundation here. They've got enough really talented young players that when they fill in around them, either from their system or the occasional trade, they're going to have a pretty decent team. It's going to take a year or so.
Dozier goes down swinging. Holland has his 4th strikeout. 1-1.
Was the long ball yesterday. Matt Davidson and Giovanni Soto, 3-run homer for Matt. Then you look at the rest of the day, had a wonderful day, as did Giovanni Soto. And they hit in the 7th and 8th spot in the batting order. State Farm, here to help life go right.
Sox had it going right in the first inning. It was 1-0. And there, that ball is hit well to left center, but Buxton is on it to retire Soto for out number 1. Family Sundays feature tickets as low as $5 in the upper level, $15 in the lower level, and parking for only $10, plus special kid-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays, proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today. First Family Sunday coming up in 2 days at 1:10 here at the ballpark.
That is 7 fly balls to center field that Buxton has handled, 5 of them routinely, and 2 spectacular plays. Here's
a strike to Leury Garcia. We know Buxton can play the outfield.
Well, he can really go get him, and he can throw it.
Hughes drops a curveball outside to Garcia. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Outfield playing him straight away, as is the infield. Escobar in very close at third to take away at least the thought of a bunt.
A little bit low. By the way, did you see who's on the mound tonight for the Mets? Talk about coming back from injury like Derek Holland has. Zach Wheeler is pitching for the Metropolitans tonight.
Been a long time for him between major league starts.
2014 was his last major league appearance.
When he came up with the rating that he had, if not the best arm in that system, because there's a lot of great ones. He had one of the great ones, but he's had so many injuries that the Mets are probably wondering what he's going to come back with.
Let's go, Garcia!
Marlins lead the Mets right now 7-1. It did not go so well, as that one goes the opposite way and foul for Leury. Coming into tonight's game for the Sox, there were 4 unbeaten teams remaining in Major League Baseball, and all 4 were in the American League: Cleveland, Minnesota, Baltimore, and Boston. Red Sox lost 6-5 to Detroit, and Leury to right field for out number 2.
So far, just about everything hit in the air, and that's how Phil Hughes has to pitch. So as the season moves along and it gets warmer, it's going to be more difficult for him. Tonight, 44 degrees at the ballpark, with the wind right now absolutely gone. No discernible wind. There you look at the flags limp atop the poles.
That is quite the departure from yesterday's. It's a twister.
Last couple of days were a bit problematic for anybody chasing a fly ball or pop-up. There's the only wind in the ballpark right there.
That's it.
Yeah, it's cooling off Rosario at the moment.
Shouldn't that go off when the Sox hit a homer?
I guess.
It's a breaking ball and a strike at that to Saladino. Jayhawks and Spartans living together.
A wise choice wearing those hats tonight.
Inside, 2 balls and a strike, but good news, the forecast for the weekend is tremendous.
Much better with each and every day.
Go build some sandcastles after the game on Sunday.
That'd be a good plan.
Put on your leather jacket. Go walk in the streets of Chicago. 2-2 on Saladino.
Tyler thought that one was a little high and probably wide of the strike zone, but Phil Hughes, who's around the plate most of the time and has been his whole career, he's going to get the benefit of those calls.
That's too close to take for Tyler. You like cotton candy, Steve?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Especially, I like it a little bluer than that, though, so it not only dyes your tongue blue, but your lips and part of your nose.
Honorary Smurf.
He's a very happy young man.
That's all it takes for a smile.
Enjoying the dentist's dream, cotton candy.
Hard hit on the ground. That's a base knock for Saladino. 9 in a row pushed aside before that hit.
It's actually going to take advantage of any of their base stealers against Phil Hughes. Jimenez had one opportunity, made a pretty decent throw, but couldn't cut down Anderson, that coming in the first inning. So with Tyler Saladino and pretty good speed, it's something we should look for.
fastball came off the bat, by the way, at 106 miles an hour for Saladino. Pretty well struck ground ball.
That's good exit velocity.
Anderson fouls it away. Tim, 3 for 11 this season. What do you think Jimenez is saying to Hughes here?
Well, what's happened with his curveball is he's thrown a lot of them down the middle. And I think he's talking to him about location for that pitch, especially with a hitter that has been known to swing at most everything. So, you don't necessarily have to throw him a strike. That was probably the conversation, because with nobody at second, you're not changing the set of signs you use. As Phil Hughes will deliver his 71st pitch. He's been pretty economical with 2 outs here in the 5th.
Saladino sees Hughes flinch and heads back to first.
To me, like that lead of Saladino's was a bit longer than the previous time, and he's out there again. It's a good lead at first.
Didn't go. 1 ball, 1 strike. .110 game tomorrow we told you about. That'll be Miguel Gonzalez in his first Sox start of 2017 against Adalberto Mejia, the left-handed pitcher, the 5th starter for the Twins. Then Jose Quintana on Sunday. There's a throw to first on Saladino, who does have some speed, as you were talking about.
Yeah, I think if he wants to go, he's going to be in pretty good shape with the combination of Jimenez and Hughes. Mejia, by the way, acquired from the San Francisco Giants, won the 5th starting spot. Because they don't have an abundance of off days, they actually are going to use 5 starters. Sox on the other side of the equation, going mostly with 4 in the early going because of the 4 off days and inclement weather. So we'll see Jose Quintana on his proper day, the 5th day. He's going to throw Sunday. And no need for a 5th starter just yet.
Pushing Dylan Covey's debut back some. He was supposed to be the 5th starter. And on Saladino, by the way, we haven't seen the robust numbers here in the majors, but he was a big-time base stealer in the minors. He had 38 in 1 year in 2012 with Birmingham.
And I don't think he's any slower now. He just hasn't had the opportunities.
There he goes, and Anderson fouls it away.
It's a good thing Tim made contact, because Tyler did not get a good jump. So that wouldn't have been a difficult play for Jimenez had he missed it.
One and 2 for Anderson. Twins tied the game in the 4th. Sox trying to retake the lead. Tim swats it to right field. Long run for Kepler. Oh my goodness, can they make some catches in that outfield? That should have been a run, and Kepler snared it. Wow.
Outfield defense phenomenal in a 1-1 game.
Back to 35th and Shields. Derek Holland feeds over a strike to Robbie Grossman, who doubled and scored the lone Twins run in the 4th inning. Holland at 64 pitches. Still some gas in the tank in his opening Sox start here in 2017. And the breaking stuff has looked pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we know he can win. He knows how to win when he's healthy. He was healthy all spring. He's thrown the ball very well here tonight. And he's limited this team, who was #1, drawing all kinds of walks, 23 of them against Kansas City. So they were uncharacteristically patient against the Royals. And to a man, they said something interesting in talking with folks from Minnesota. They said that Kansas City bullpen is having all kinds of problems. And for them, that's a huge problem because they've been a lockdown bullpen about the last 4 or 5 years.
Twins had a big 7th inning in that whole series as Grossman knocks this pitch into left field for a leadoff single. Twins scored 14 of their 21 runs in that series in the 7th against Kansas City, and that's rare considering the Royals we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's just a completely different team, and it's going to be a difficult year for them. Struggling with the tragedy of Yordano Ventura, who was killed, 25-year-old fireballing right-hander, killed in a car crash. And it's hard for friends on the team to get over something like that.
We saw the Marlins have to do it in season last year with the Jose Fernandez death, and it's one of those situations. I guess you just kind of rally around each other, right? You never had anything like that happen when you were playing, did you?
No, I
mean, Thurman Munson.
Yeah, but I mean, he was the Yankee catcher, not my catcher
right.
anymore. But yeah, the death of Thurman Munson was obviously startling to the Yankees, and as a team, they really rallied around one another. Munson probably would have been a Hall of Famer had he been able to take his career to the logical conclusion, but he was not able to do that.
You were there the day
yes.
after,
yeah,
right?
They had an off day, and they went to the funeral, and then they came back, and we, Baltimore Orioles, were in town to play that first night. It was a profoundly sad night, but the way the fans responded to the eulogy and the number up there, it sent chills up your spine. And they took the field with 8 players and no catcher. And then again, you looked out and it was surreal. A very surreal night.
Ball and a strike on Buxton, who jabbed at the bunt last time, now shelves the bunt. And the count 1-2. If there's going to be a time that he's going to bunt, right there would have been one of those times, wouldn't you think?
Well, yeah, and a lot of guys actually bunt a lot better when they're bunting for a hit than if they have to square around and actually make the official sacrifice.
Why?
I just think that they're used to, especially guys with the speed of Buxton.
There he goes, strike 3. Holland has fanned Buxton 3 times tonight.
He's had the opportunity to put the ball in play in a situation where he had a base runner on ahead of him and no contact. Good high fastball, ties him up inside, throws it right by him. Great location, and Buxton, who had all kinds of contact problems last year, having some here tonight.
Second highest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball, 300 plus at bats. As we mentioned earlier, and now Sano, who struck out in the 2nd inning. Very dangerous hitter, though, Miguel Sano. That's a torpedo foul.
The pen is up and going. It's Tyler Duffy. Bullpen that was last in the American League last year, getting off to just a great start this year. Nobody has scored on the pen, and the only guy that has not been used out of that pen is Michael Tonkin.
Duffy was the guy that Mejia, and that fan just took the dart off the arm, but is okay. A story to tell.
Yeah.
for years and years.
The guy next to him is probably saying, "Did that hurt?" Nah, didn't hurt at all. Are you kidding?
There's the ball.
Now I've got a souvenir.
That's how you do it.
And a very sore right forearm.
See, if somebody gets plugged with a ball in your section, you really should give them the ball. And the little girl ends up with the ball.
And he still has the sore forearm. He's explaining now just exactly how it happened. It got me right here, pal. I mean, it hurt, really.
The story may inflate a little bit as the years go
on.
on.
It did hurt. It really hurt.
Sano just foul.
Slow breaking ball yanked down the line. Fortunately, on the left side of the bag. We saw Sano last year hit the upper deck in left field. I mean, there's no telling how far he can hit the ball.
Holland's pitched him low in or out of the zone with all three so far. And a throw to first on Robbie Grossman.
Oh, those are good-looking tacos.
You want one?
Well,
buy you one.
You've got to take off, for me, you've got to take off the cheese, the cabbage, the salsa, the whatever it's on there, you got to take it off because it's green. But also, yeah, I like basically the meat, and I like it assembled. And then you could call it a hamburger, and I would really like it.
So you take the horizontal bread of the taco, and then you make it vertical, and you put it around the meat.
And that's it.
That's a burger.
That's a burger, yes.
It's a plain burger that you just ordered.
Trying to get him to go after something out of the strike zone.
That was a strike.
That was a terrific pitch. We'll take a look. It's a backdoor breaking ball. And Gio thought it was good enough, although he did bring it back over the plate. So it's close, no call.
Our fine folks at PitchCast say strike. Holland will have to do it again. And now he'll have to do it one more time.
Steady diet of slow breaking balls to Sano.
One out, runner at first is Grossman. Fouled away a fastball that time.
He threw a four-seamer in on his hands and tried to ease it by him after a diet of slow breaking balls.
What do you do now after you've done that?
If you don't want to go back to the slow breaking ball, that face-high fastball is a really good pitch.
3-2. Breaking ball hit in the air to left and twisting foul.
Getting to the point now where he's seeing that breaking ball a whole lot better, and I think Gio's going out there to talk with Holland. Just tell him what he thinks he wants to use, find out if Holland will concur. And they go right back at Sano. Ninth pitch of the at-bat. A battling at-bat for the king-size tonight first baseman, but normally they're everyday third baseman.
Well, he's likely in swing mode. He doesn't walk very much at all. 3-2, and he does swing to lace it to right center field. Grossman coming around third, and the Twins have their first lead.
Gio Soto wanted that in on his hands, and unfortunately Derek did not get it there. It's our fourth drive of the game, a line drive rocket. He wanted it low and in. This one was low and away, and Sano laces it into the gap. That's brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com as Grossman turns it on, scores easily.
That's a pretty good at bat from Miguel Sano.
Yeah, he battled until he got a pitch out over the plate, a fastball, and he drilled it exactly where it was pitched.
Now it's Polanco. Well, he'd seen everything. Sano had seen everything that Holland had to give him. And then sometimes you wait out a miss.
And that's what happened. I mean, he missed his spot by a good 3 or 4, well, maybe 3 feet.
So Grossman has both runs tonight for the Twins. Garcia in center. No play on Sano. 2 down.
The 6th inning is brought to you by Meijer, true Chicago fans. That, by the way, if you ever run across Myers, it's M-E-I-J-E-R''S. The normal spelling of Meijer.
It's a silent J and I.
And the rest.
And there's a Y in there too. 2 down for Kepler. Sano at second. Twins got their first run on 2 errors in the 4th inning after a Grossman double. And there is a breaking ball for strike 1. Kepler came in 4 for 12. He's 0 for 2 tonight with a ground ball to second and a fly ball to left. Holland didn't get the call there. Soto said, put it there again. You might get it.
We'll talk about what Gio Soto is doing as he touches his mask and both shoulders.
Inside.
A lot of times with a man at second base, a catcher is going to do a lot of tapping of various parts of his catcher's gear or anatomy, and usually one of them will signal which particular sign he wants Derek to look at when he goes and hangs his fingers after going through a set of taps.
Do that to shield the runner at second
yeah,
base
I mean,
from knowing.
because he's not going to be able to pick that up. He might, if you have a rudimentary system where one's a fastball, two's a curve, three's a slider, and maybe use a second signal, if that's all you're doing, eventually a heads-up base runner or a catcher on base at the time will be able to pick that up. But by doing flaps beforehand, it takes it away.
Lofted on the middle infield. This should do it. Saladino leaning for out number 3. The Twins have their first lead on a Miguel Sano RBI double, and Holland hopes for the offense to get it back.
checking, an official White Sox debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Today is an interesting day in baseball history, Uncle Steve.
How so?
Well, in 1969, Don Drysdale, his first 2 pitches to start the season, he gave up a homer to Pete Rose and Bobby Tolan, back-to-back homers.
And the third guy he hit in the neck.
No,
He didn't?
the Dodgers came back to win 3-2, but later in that game, Bill Singer became the first major league reliever to officially, you know the answer, to officially record a save. First year that saves were kept, back in 1969. Officially kept. Historians have gone back.
He was also created by the former great writer, Hall of Famer, Jerome Holtzman.
Yep.
So a lot of closers in baseball, although they don't know it, owe Jerome Holtzman a great deal of money.
There's a story that I had read before. I don't know if it's true, but somebody said that Jose Mesa saw Jerome Holtzman in a clubhouse one day and went over and gave him a big old hug and said, "You made me millions of dollars."
He's not the only one. Jerome was a wonderful man, a great writer. He wrote a book called No Cheering in the Press Box. He just was very talented and around for a long time.
3-1 to Melky.
Hughes took a little something off that. He threw him a cutter. Melky looking for a fastball, just cued it off the end of the bat.
Jose Abreu, then Todd Frazier, 3, 4, 5 hitters coming up here in the 6th for the Sox.
Throws him another cutter, and he's able to foul it off. So Melky, normally a tough man to strike out, staying alive in this at bat as he battles frostbite
and wins. Three and two. That is strike 3, a rare strikeout for Melky Cabrera as he got painted by Hughes.
Phil Hughes, one of the best control pitchers of all time, single season leaders in the modern era. Strikeout to walk ratio 11.6 to 1 in 2014. Brett Saberhagen, 1994 is second. Cliff Lee, Curt Schilling, Pedro Martinez. And the difference with the bottom 4 is they were all strikeout pitchers. Phil Hughes, not a strikeout pitcher, but he certainly can throw strikes.
To do that for an entire season,
it's remarkable.
Right.
Absolutely remarkable.
That year, that was 186 strikeouts to 16 walks.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Ball and a strike on Abreu. Breaking ball again, stayed in the zone for a while. 1 and 2. Join Ron Kittle Charities for a Cigars Social with Jerry Reinsdorf at Biggs Mansion April 13th. Special guests include Harold Baines, Ozzie Guillen, Bobby Hull, Ron Kittle, and Jim Thome. All proceeds benefit Ron Kittle Charities. Visit ronkittlecharities.org to purchase tickets.
The Biggs Mansion's a beautiful facility. You'll have a wonderful time there, and it's a pretty good cause.
Abreu tried to check his swing and did, says Carlos Torres at first. I've not been invited to the Biggs Mansion. What's it like, Steve?
Well, it's big. Used to be a restaurant.
I got that for both mansion and Biggs.
It's a mostly 3-leveled cigar club. and a great one. It's beautiful.
2-2. He got him. Breaking ball outside, and Hughes has struck out 2 in a row after 1 strikeout in the first 5 innings.
Third of the night. Sweeping breaking ball low and away. It was in the zone for a while before disappearing. The pitch to Melky that struck him out looking was a backdoor cutter, trying to shave off the outside corner. It wasn't a strike, but because Hughes is around the plate so much, he gets the benefit of those calls. He's a strike throwing machine, always has been. His reputation precedes him, and he's going to get probably at least a 20-21 inch plate.
Was right at the edge of the zone. Frazier fouled it away, 0-1.
And when we talk about a bigger plate, meaning the home plate is 17 inches. But if you throw a lot of strikes and you're around the zone, you're going to get 2 inches in and 2 inches out normally.
And the team that comes to my mind, and a lot of people of this generation, is those Braves teams of the 90s that used to sneak every inch, every couple of innings, and by the end of the game be on the outside of the outside of the outside corner.
Yeah, in those days, Javi Lopez would literally be catching the ball 3-4 inches off the outside corner and getting strikes called. But that was the heyday of Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery, all strike throwers. Pretty impressive numbers by Phil Hughes, who's got a 1-run lead.
Former first-round pick of the Yankees, grew up a Red Sox fan. On time call. It's outside. 3 balls and a strike, like right there. Jimenez was set up off the outside corner, caught it there, didn't get the call.
Nate Jones up and just at this point getting a little refreshment in the pen, but he's ready to go if needed.
Frazier, a ground ball wide of third. That ball had the fat part of the plate.
And it wasn't location, it was velocity that had Todd out in front of it. There was a cutter at 84 miles an hour, and he had Frazier looking fastball well out in front of the pitch. So yet another trip to the mound by Jimenez.
You get miles for those?
When Joe Mauer was catching, he used to go out. He'd be good for double digits on trips to the mound. And Jimenez is right there with him.
How about George Jacobs behind the plate? Didn't even flinch. He's been sitting back there for so long. Derek Holland seeing if the Sox can get him a run.
Derek is throwing it pretty well tonight.
Three-two. Breaking ball launched to left field. Rosario back at the wall, and Rosario is there for out number 3. He had time, he measured it, and he took it away. 1-2-3 inning with some drama. B, thanks for joining us tonight on a lovely night for baseball. No rain in the area. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew. And the Twins have a 2-1 lead with the bottom of the order coming up. Derek Holland has thrown pretty well tonight.
Yeah, this is, regardless of how this works out, this is going to be a confidence builder. Good outing for him. And what's as rare as no moisture tonight, no wind. That's been a radical departure from what's happened over the last 3 days.
There were some streets downtown the last couple days that were closed because of the high winds. And so we'll take this. You got your space heater
Much
here in
nicer.
the booth.
And tomorrow it's going to be a beautiful day.
Two balls and a strike on Escobar. 2-2.
There's some young ladies and one gentleman who is really enjoying the game tonight. Enjoyed a lot more with 2 more runs up there in the Sox line, but for now they're doing it nicely.
Why stop at 2 more runs? Why not 3 or 4 or 5? You don't want to get greedy.
Be good. No, yeah, just if that can beat them, 2 runs will be fine. If not, get a little more comfortable for the pen.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And that's high. First walk in a White Sox jersey for Derek Holland. Provide your guests with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience in Guaranteed Rate Club or Magellan Scout Seats. These 2 premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family, and are available for season ticket packages or individual games. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating.
Long slow walk to the mound by Ricky Renteria. So he wants Nate Jones from the pen. A fine outing by Derek Holland. He'll depart, get a hand from the crowd. And as he does that, and Nate comes strolling in, we'll step out and be back after these messages. He inherits Eduardo Escobar at first base. Nobody out there. You look at the numbers from last year. It was a great year. 71 appearances, so he's very durable. A 2.29 ERA with a 5-3 record. A great strikeout to walk ratio. 15 walks, 80 strikeouts in 70 2/3. A very talented right-hander who probably will be a closer somewhere in his career and probably in the not too distant future.
He's farther away from the 9th inning tonight than he was for much of last season. He only threw in 15 seventh innings at any point last year. 56 times he threw in the 8th, 15 times in the 9th, and 4 times in extra innings.
He comes into this with an insurance run at first base and nobody out. And when you get into the 90s and your first start, you got to watch that starting pitcher carefully, and Ricky Renteria thought that was enough.
On the ground, that's a fair ball for Jimenez into the corner.
And that's a break.
That is going to be touched by a fan, so they are going to blow it dead. And let's see what they say about the runner. Paul Molitor wants the plate.
Well,
you would think it'd be second and third.
It should be, but it's umpire's discretion to see if he would have scored. So we would caution all of our enthusiastic fans, don't touch a ball in play, and this one was clearly in play. First ball fastball. Jimenez comes through with his second hit of the night. Takes it right down the line. Clearly a fair ball, as evidenced by Paul Nauert and the call. And before this one has a chance to rattle around, that guy puts an end to that.
You know, the one piece of that that probably wasn't the greatest guile is the hiding of the ball. Somebody's going to find it. Everybody saw you do it. So now the umpires are going to talk it over. And with the discretion of the crew.
Yeah, if they believe that he would have scored, and they take into consideration the speed of the runner, if it's a slow running catcher on the front end of this double, then there's no question he wouldn't have scored. But it wasn't a slow running catcher. It was a guy with pretty decent speed in Escobar. And so for the moment, at least,
well,
a leadoff walk hurts.
Reading lips, Dana DeMuth looked like he said, I had him at second, that guy scores. That looked like what the message was to Ricky Renteria, meaning Jimenez goes to second, Escobar goes home. We're going to try and sync them up for you. This is when the fan has touched the ball, so we're going by time code here, and here is where the runner was at that time. So, what, about halfway from second to third? It is so difficult to do this.
Well, it is umpire discretion, and you know, you take into consideration when we looked at where the fan caught it, Melky was not in the picture yet. So what the umpires are pretty much saying, at least with their initial call, was because it hit off the wall, they didn't believe Melky could get there in time to stop Escobar from scoring. So, you know, that's just, it's a judgment call.
Here's the problem with that then, Steve. Subjective, judgmental calls should not be subject to replay review. That's normally the issue with any replay system, is only the objective. Foot on the line, whatever it might be, something that you can clearly factually see should only be subject to replay review. Here's where Melky was when the fan had touched the ball. So you're going to have to do physics to determine the ricochet. I don't know what they could be reviewing here. If they get, you take all those pictures that we gave you sitting at home, what's your takeaway? I don't know where he's going. Do you?
No, and nobody can really definitively say, but when you have a judgment call, I mean, that's it. So they're going to allow the run. They're going to move Jimenez to second base, and it's going to be a 3-1 game.
It'll be interesting to talk to Ricky Renteria before tomorrow's game and see what the explanation he got was.
Yeah.
Especially for the review, right? I mean, I don't see any reason to review that. If it's a discretionary call, it's subjective. You can't review that. Or you shouldn't be able to. It doesn't really add anything. Anywho, 3-1, and Rosario the batter.
Well, I think the suggestion you had a couple of days ago really applies here, and it was a good one in that eventually I believe we're going to get to the point where the umpire is going to tell not only our viewers on television but the fans in the ballpark what exactly is being reviewed.
Nate Jones spears it, and they get the out at first, and that is all. Jimenez was dancing off the bag. Nate thought it over, and he may have had a play at second Instead, he does get the one out.
Well, your initial thought is not to go second to first. He looks back, but because he took a knee basically on the mound, he didn't feel like he would want to expose the team to a potentially big inning if he throws it away. So he got the sure out and kept Jimenez at second.
So one down, Dozier the batter. Twins lead 3-1. That's not to say they shouldn't have this inning, right? And it's not to say that the discretion was wrong in that case at all. But we're going to beat that drum 7 ways to Sunday. We should get an explanation. We, being the fans of baseball, should get an explanation of a play like that and not have to say, well, we'll tell you about it tomorrow.
True.
Also, it would be much easier if people didn't pick up the baseball while it was on the field. We would suggest.
Yes, that's another situation that, try as you might, you can't get too many fans to do that.
In every stadium in America, it happens everywhere. If there were football seats on the field, people be grabbing line drive throws to the sideline looking for first down. So it happens. That is outside and ball 4. So Dozier gets the pitch around, and 2 on with 1 down for Robbie Grossman.
So activity in the pen. It's Tyler Duffy for the 2nd time. I would think that would be it for Phil Hughes, but he's scheduled to face the bottom part of the order. Ashley Garcia Soto get on. Liuri is 4th in the inning. That you would think for the first start out, after pitching only 59 innings all of last year, that would be it for Phil Hughes.
Especially with the Twins extending the lead a little bit, giving some room to the bullpen. Jones knocks it down, and Nate scoops it to first. Could have been 2. He gets the 1. And runners now at 2nd and 3rd. Jimenez and Dozier. It's 2 down for Buxton.
Grossman, who had 2 hits and scored 2 runs, hits this ball hard. Unfortunately, it drops out of the glove of Nate Jones, who is left with the only play to first base. Now you have a man going for the golden sombrero, which is 4 strikeouts.
There is strike number 1. Is there a store they sell those in?
Golden sombreros? It's probably one of those stores you'd never like to have, because no contact at Ford bats will drive you to distraction.
So will a golden sombrero. Driving, you look at the other cars, somebody's got one of those golden sombreros on, you're going to be distracted. Ball to strike on Buxton. Actually doesn't sound like an unfashionable thing, the golden sombrero.
Better than the 3 strikeout silver chalice.
Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does. That's kind of the way it's been.
Checked his swing, and he did go.
So you don't have to throw a strike to get Buxton, because he has a nose-to-toe strike zone and uses usually 3 or 4 inches off the outside corner. But if you're thinking about a slider here, Giovanni Soto is best be ready to dig something out of the dirt.
1-2. Yanked foul.
That one hung a bit for Nate. Fortunately, Buxton could not get much of it.
Golden birthday. Home run. Maybe, just maybe, coming up in the bottom of the 7th. 2 get a golden sombrero on your golden birthday?
No, you couldn't tack on 4 strikeouts to that young fan.
Well, you could get the hat without the strikeouts creating the hat.
You cannot get the hat without the strikeouts.
Is that right?
They go, yeah, they go hand in hand, so to speak.
Limited edition golden sombreros. Ball and 2 strikes on Buxton. Time call.
This will usually happen on a critical pitch. This critical because you're 2 runs down, a base hit puts you 4 down rather, and you got to retire this guy, stay in the ball game, and hope to get at a bullpen who has not given up any runs this year. Robbie Grossman has had a very good night.
1-2. Tipped foul. He got a piece of it, and Buxton stays alive.
Well, one more of those, and he will not stay alive. Good block by Gio Soto. Just barely able to maybe get a stitch of the baseball. You could see it redirected on its path down to Gio.
We'll see if that stitch in time saves 25. Ball and 2 strikes. 2 down, 2 in scoring position. Fit that man for a hat. Twins get a run. 3-1 your score at stretch time.
More against these Twins, which ends the first homestand of the year, the off day Monday, and then it's on a road trip to Cleveland, to Minnesota, and to New York. See your authorized Dodge dealers to experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Go to Dodge.com and check out our powerful lineup.
New pitcher for the Twins, Tyler Duffy, is out of the bullpen. The former starter relieving now.
Twins believe that he can start. They just don't have room for him. And he has thrown 1 inning, as you see, gave up nothing, like almost the entire Minnesota bullpen. We told you how horrendous last year was. Twins bullpen pitched more innings and had the highest ERA in the American League. And that's what this organization felt could get them a lot more respectable than last year, was tightening up that bullpen, and so far it's worked.
Cody Ashe against Duffy. And there is strike number 1. Sox have Ashe, Garcia, and Soto coming up, 6, 7, and 8 in the order. Hughes didn't walk anybody, struck out 3.
Last year, Duffy did start. In fact, he started 26 games. He had an ERA that was way up there, 9-12 record. ERA about 5.5.
Pitched for the legendary Wayne Graham at Rice for a couple of years. One of the best college baseball coaches out there. Can the Sox put together a comeback tonight? We shall see. 2-1. Now 2-2 on a fastball from Duffy.
They have a severe shift on. 3 Twins on the first base side of the second base bag.
It's unfair. That's 6 people.
That's true.
Called strike 3. That was a close pitch. And she didn't like it at all.
We'll take another look at it. That's his knuckle curveball, and Chris Guccione said it shaved off the inside part of the plate. That one could have gone either way. Unfortunately, it did not go Ashy's way.
So 1 down for Avi Garcia, as the Sox have 1 hit since the 2nd inning. It was a Tyler Saladino single with 2 out in the 5th. Twins have a run in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. Avi up the middle. Dozier can't get there in time. It's a 1-out single, and the tying run's coming up.
We told you that the defense is very underrated for Dozier at second base. He's got great range. He makes a terrific play up the middle, and then with a guy with very good speed up the line, he makes it closer than it should have been. Throw is right on the money, and an infield hit for Avi.
Fifth hit this season for Avi. He's 5 for 12. And now Giovanni Soto, who homered a couple of times yesterday, trying to find the power once more for the tie. In the air, center field, and Buxton 2 away. MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. So it's up to Leury Garcia now with 2 out and a runner at first in the Sox 7th.
He hit the ball very well in the 2nd inning, doubling into left center field. One of the few that Buxton was not able to run down tonight. Zach Putnam starts to throw in the pen.
Leury doubled his first time up tonight, and he takes ball #1.
Phil Hughes went 6. He gave up a run on 5 hits, as he usually does. He didn't walk anybody, and he fanned 3. So coming back from a surgery, a broken kneecap, he would consider this very successful. He threw it well.
Duffy, who gave up a lot of home runs last year, an unlucky amount of home runs, but 20% home run to fly ball rate, which usually is less of the issue of the pitcher than it is fortune. Although if you're giving up hard hit balls, some of them are bound to leave. But that was up about 12% from the season before. This one's on the ground. Sano, who's never really played first before, handles that well and retires the side. Sox strand 1. We are through 7. It's 3-1, the Sox trailing.
3-1 game. The defense for the Sox has been a problem. Phil Hughes, a brilliant night, 6 innings, 5 hits with an earned run and 3 strikeouts. The Twins, unearned run in the 4th inning. Great deals are waiting for you at your local Honda dealer. That is our Honda game summary. And Zach Putnam comes into the ball game. 1 2/3 innings of nothing. The splitter was working very well against the Tigers. We'll see if it's likewise tonight. He's got his hands full with the man at bat.
Miguel Sano. My goodness, what a swing.
Oh, he just airs it out each and every swing. He doesn't have a 2-strike swing, and Gio goes out there to.
Oh, that's not a good look.
Kill some time.
By the way.
No.
That was just. That is unwelcome.
Twins are trying to be just the 5th team in Major League history to start a season 4-0 after losing 100 games the previous season. So it's rare, and the Twins are trying to accomplish that.
Thank goodness what we saw a few moments ago is rare.
It's very rare.
Jerseys are back on. Sano takes a strike. Zach Putnam a couple of years ago was very good at getting the first batter out, which is a number a lot of people look at for relievers.
Yeah, for a reliever, it's critical.
136 average back in 2014 for the first batter, and a 0 average for Sano as the first batter against Putnam tonight. We showed you a Sox Farm Report earlier. We have an update. Breaking news from down south. Tonight's Sox Farm Report has Yoan Moncada 4 for 5, so now he's 7 for 11 so far in a Sox minor league jersey, and Carson Fulmer gets a win.
And he threw it real well. The stuff is good. He's got a few things to work on, but he's one of the youngsters down there that's got a chance to be special. And there's a few of them now in the system. Moncada, he's going to be just outstanding, and he's starting to tear up the league already. But there's no doubt he can hit. We saw it in spring training. The thing that sets him apart from most is, for a big man, the speed he has, which is also blinding.
Wide of first, 1-1.
When they rated prospects this year, there were some who rated Benintendi, Andrew Benintendi of Boston, as a #1 prospect, despite the fact that he did play in the major leagues last year and got hurt and shut his season down. But if you're using him, Benintendi, as a major leaguer, the #1 prospect in all of baseball is Yoan Moncada, and he's showing just that early in the early going.
Well, Rick Hahn has said, and again, you don't want to overreact. It's 11 at bats, right? Yeah. It's 11 at bats. He's 7 for 11.
I would say
that's
11, 11 pretty good ones.
Yes, certainly. But Rick Hahn, Ricky Renteria, they've talked about the fact that they want to see things that solidify that those players should be in the majors, not that there's a gap in the majors as Abreu makes a nice play, 2 down. Not that there's a need, but that this player will get there and stay there. That's the idea. And Moncada, as we previewed his season, he's a .307 hitter in Salem last year, .277 with AA Portland, and all the signs are there that he's going to tear up Charlotte.
We'll take a look at stolen bases again. For a big man with that kind of speed, it's somewhat amazing. But if you go out to try to trade for Chris Sale, one of the best pitchers in baseball, you're going to have to give up a lot of very young talent, and the Red Sox did just that.
And we saw on that report not only Fulmer and Moncada having good nights tonight, but Luis Alexander Basabe, the outfielder also who came over for Sale, had his first hit with Advanced Day Winston-Salem. It was a triple in a loss in lovely Buies Creek, North Carolina tonight, the home of the Campbell Camels.
The Camels, huh?
Yeah. No, that's not a character from Soap.
You sure?
I think so. There was a Campbell.
There was.
This was the Camels, though. Basabe with a triple, 2 RBIs tonight. 1-1. Line of first again. The Twins took the lead in the 6th inning on a Miguel Sano RBI double. Chris Jimenez followed that in the 7th with an RBI double. And Paul Molitor's team, after such an awful start last year at 0-9, and he said, look, I know it's just a couple of games. I know. but there's something about confidence in baseball that can change the trajectory early, and the Twins certainly have that.
Well, one of the biggest differences in this game, just like the other three for the Twins, they played magnificent defense. It helped turn things around. If Buxton doesn't have the kind of defensive inning that he had, it's a different ball game.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Splitter from Putnam. Bookend strikeouts and a 1-2-3 for the Michigan man. 3-1. Your score. Enjoying a breathtaking view of Guaranteed Rate Field from the Huntington Bank Stadium Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders and open before, during, and after every home game. The Huntington Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events, including weddings and corporate parties. There it is. For more information regarding the Huntington Bank Stadium Club, call 312-674-1000. Folks in there rooting for a comeback right now with Sox top of the order coming up. Saladino, Anderson, and Cabrera against Tyler Duffy, who throws ball number 1.
In the Detroit series, Saladino was very patient, took a lot of pitches, make some extended at bats, and he's got to get on. That's his job here. Set the table for the big boys in the middle.
Breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike from Duffy.
That was a good curveball, and one of the great things that statistically we're quantifying now is spin rate on all of the pitches. That really will tell you how sharp that break is going to be.
A lot of pitchers are using spin rate themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because a curveball or slider, for the most part, is not necessarily a velocity pitch. It's how much spin you can impart on the baseball. And you can throw a slow curveball with a very high spin rate.
2-1. On the ground, third base, and a short hop for Escobar for out number 1.
On our Mazda replay, it's a good effort by Escobar because he comes in, he knows he's got to smother the short hop. You don't want to wait back. With Saladino running, he knows he's got some speed. You wait back, you get that long high hop, you never know what happens. So playing it aggressively worked well for Eduardo Escobar.
One down for Anderson. Some people even care so much about spin rate in terms of projecting that spin rate to some is more valuable than velocity in terms of how hittable a fastball is.
Yeah, and well, that certainly, and just about every other pitch you have except for a knuckleball where there is no spin rate.
There better not be.
No, if there is, then you have a problem.
And it's not a knuckleball.
No, it's a roller, which is hit normally very hard.
2 strikes on Anderson against a Twins bullpen that still has not given up a run this year. And Duffy has his second strikeout.
He's got a very good curveball tonight. This last one just disappears. Tim opens that front shoulder, flies off the baseball. You get no coverage at all on the outside part of the plate when you open your left shoulder if you're a right-hand hitter. Pen up and going, and it is their closer, Brandon Kintzler, who had 17 saves last year, taking over for the injured Glenn Perkins, who is still injured. So Kintzler is the closer. ERA just over 3. In a year that was disastrous in the pen for the Twins, Kintzler had a very good run at it.
Vegas native Brandon Kintzler getting ready to come in as Melky shears this one down the line for a 2-out hit. So the tying run will come up in the form of old number 79.
Good job of hitting by Melky. Has got a couple of singles in 4 at-bats. This one right down the line. Duffy wanting to keep it away, taking away the power from Melky. You see how far off the line Escobar is, so he's got no chance. And Jose, with a run batted in, has a big chance.
You know, Steve, he doesn't have a homer yet.
He doesn't. This would be a nice time for it. I don't think there's a bad time for it. This would be a particularly good time for it.
Duffy to Abreu. Might have been his pitch.
I don't think he's going to see 92 on the inner third again in this at bat. If he does, it's a mistake by Duffy. I think they're going in with a fastball again.
Ooh, boy.
Some good late movement on that ball. That ball sunk, and the only thing Jose could do was hit the top of the baseball. See the spin, and that spin imparted on the baseball. That was a 2-seam fastball. It had sink and run, which means that it was dropping and moving in on the hands of Abreu as he fouled it off.
Where that ball started, it was a beach ball.
And then the late movement, which is the key to pitching.
Melky at first, 2 out. Abreu checks his swing and holds up.
I don't think the fans realize how strong you have to be to start a swing if you're a big man like Abreu, and then check it up without getting yourself called out. But you have to have very strong hands, very strong wrists to do that.
Everything in and then some as he swings and misses at a breaking ball down and out, and the inning is over. Melky stranded. To the 9th we go. Sox are still down 2. May in center field, down 2 runs and a new pitcher as well.
Tommy Kahnle comes in after an inning, a successful inning yesterday. He picked up the 9th inning, struck out a pair, gave up a hit, no runs. And he comes into this one hoping to hold it at a 2-run deficit.
Kahnle against Eduardo Escobar. And there is strike 1 at 98 miles an hour. That one trickles by, and it's a leadoff single for Escobar here in the 9th. Here's Jimenez, who has been a major culprit tonight as the Sox trail by 2. Jimenez, an RBI double in the 7th inning, a ball that was touched by a fan down the left field line. And there goes the runner as that's fouled away. Escobar is going to have to go back. He got a very nice jump.
That was a hit and run, not a straight steal. Had it been a straight steal, he probably would have stolen it easily. He's not possessed of great speed, and you don't have to have great speed if you're using a hit and run, but the base runner, when he takes off, he's got to look back for contact. On a straight steal, the hitter knows it. He's going to take the pitch, and the base runner is not going to look back. He's going right into second.
Jimenez fouls it back. Tommy Kahnle throwing 97, 98 miles an hour, as we've seen from him. A very lively arm, the right-hander, formerly of the Colorado Rockies. Swing and a miss for strike 3. And Kahnle fans Jimenez. So 1 down for Rosario. Kahnle last year, his average fastball was 96.5. Slider at 84. We've seen 97, 98, and the readings have been a little different this year, considering they're using a new technology, a new type of measurement to figure out what miles per hour a pitch is being thrown. They're trying to measure as close to the release of the baseball this year as humanly possible. So we've seen changes both up and down. Meaning some pitchers have gained some speed this year, some pitchers have lost some speed. And again, we're only 3-4 games into the season, so it's very difficult to tell exactly what the end result is going to be. The takeaway from Tommy Kahnle is he throws very hard, no matter how you measure it.
That's never been a problem.
Escobar at first, and Rosario on the ground, Frazier on the backhand. Saladino. That's a double play. 5-4 to 3. And the Sox have some momentum going to the bat rack in the 9th, needing 2 or 3.
but it's been the outfield defense of these Twins. The first inning, Buxton might have turned the game around in the first inning. That was the first catch. This was the second. And there was 3 hits and a run in the first inning. Without those 2 catches, it would have been much, much worse. Max Kepler going toward the line, a diving grab. Eddie Rosario back to the wall with just enough room to haul it in. The defense has been perfect in the outfield for these Twins. When you think of garages, think Danley's. 773 Garages. And the closer in the ball game, Brandon Kinsler. He's 1 for 1 this year. Last year, 17 saves. Not an overpowering closer, but he was pretty good.
Former Cold Stone Creamery manager in Vegas, trying to close it out for the Twins against the Sox.
Figure there's a lot more money in closing than there is in scooping ice cream.
Sox trying to mix in a couple runs here.
Unless you're either Ben or Jerry.
They did pretty well for themselves.
I would say so, yes.
So it's Frazier, Ashe, and Garcia. Trying to take a chunk out of Kinsler in the 9th. Todd still hitless on the season.
We haven't seen too many teams shift as radically as the Twins do on Todd Frazier. They got Dozier playing on the third base side of second. Polanco very close to Escobar on the left side of the infield.
Sox led 1-0 as of the first inning. Kinsler misses outside, ball and a strike. Twins got a run in the 4th on 2 errors, plus a leadoff double by Robbie Grossman. Then Miguel Sano drove in the lead run in the 6th. Jimenez gave him a little padding in the 7th. At 3-1 here in the 9th. Two balls and a strike on Frazier.
Tyler Duffy threw 2 very strong innings in relief of Phil Hughes. Hughes still the pitcher of record, but Duffy gave up a couple of hits, struck out 2, no walks, no runs in his 2 innings of work.
2-1. Little run on that fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Nick Capra with a nice play, delighting the fans by tossing them the souvenir. Nick, the new third base coach, as Joe McEwing has moved to the bench to assist Ricky Renteria as his bench coach.
Fans start to cheer. 2-2. Little bit high. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Brave to take it, but he did, and he got the benefit of the call from Chris Guccione. Ball just a touch out of the zone.
There's manager and bench coach talking it over in the last of the 9th. That is strike 3. Don't think Todd saw that 2-seam fastball very well to hold it back.
No, in that last one, to watch him take a fastball, that was on the outer third. Just for him, very uncharacteristic.
So 1 down for Cody Ashe. 0 for 6 so far in his Sox career, the former Philadelphia Philly. Strike 1.
He hit the daylights out of one to end the first inning. That was one of the 2 great Buxton catches in center field. And if he doesn't make those catches with the stolen base, the 3 base hits, that could have easily been a 4 or 5 run inning and turned around the game. They turned it around defensively in that first inning.
Boy, that fastball really moves as Buxton watches from center, knowing that he kept the Sox at 1 very early when they had a chance at Hughes.
Well, that's how you can be a closer and throw anywhere from 91 to 93 is good movement, preferably late movement, and some sink on it.
He got him. Nice pitch by Kinsler. My goodness. Ashe didn't like the strikeout in the 7th, and now he's barking at Guccione again.
There's some very good movement on this one. You throw it right at the right hip of a left-hand hitter and let it drift its way back over the inside corner. And that's exactly what he did.
Final chance goes to Avi Garcia with the Sox 2 outs deep in this home 9th. Brandon Kinsler has had fine stuff here tonight.
And everything he throws moves. I think he's probably incapable of throwing it too straight. Though Avi took a fastball right down the middle that time.
But even that pitch, if you watch where it opened,
he's got the kind of movement that sees to it that you're not going to hit the ball on a sweet spot too often.
0-1. That one ran out of the zone, and Avi fouls it away. 0-2. Twins bullpen has still yet to allow a run in 2017.
Been a drastic turnaround, and again, it's 4 games into the season for the Twins, but what Paul Molitor had to do last year in trying to have that balancing act out of the bullpen, and nothing worked.
2 strikes. That's low. Former Milwaukee Brewer Brandon Kinsler. Avi trying to prolong the rally. Abreu has the lone RBI tonight. Ball and 2 strikes. Avi checks his swing and did not go, says Torres at first. All right, Avi, says Ricky Renteria.
Just trying to keep it alive for Giovanni Soto, who's in the on-deck circle, the author of 2 home runs yesterday.
Budding percussionist Tyler Saladino.
He's looking out, hoping for a rally with 2 outs and nobody on.
2-2. Avi stays alive. Not going to do a whole lot with that pitch.
No, he's got the kind of movement where you either get well under it or you hit the top of the baseball and hit it straight down the ground.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Kinsler to Garcia. Fouled away.
Kinsler trying to get inside. Avi spoiling some good pitches.
Game 1 of the series on the line. Melky with 2 hits. Only Sox player with 2 hits tonight. 6 singles, 1 double on the board. Two and 2 from Kinsler.
Here's the slider. Let's see if he can lay off.
He does.
That was some good patience. Slider low and away. And he wants to keep it alive for that man.
Giovanni Soto, who had 2 home runs in his return to the Sox yesterday in the 11-2 win against the Tigers. Three and 2, 2 out. 2-run game. Ball 4.
Good battling at bat for Avi as he laid off some pitches, fouled some pitches that were good enough, and did what he had to do, get on base and leave it up to Gio as the tying run. And they're going to concede second base to Avi.
That was the first walk tonight for a Sox hitter. Soto the batter. There goes Avi. There's ball one. Kinsler's now fighting himself and the Sox at the same time.
No stolen base, credited to Avi. They were not holding him, so it is a fielder's choice.
Kinsler walked only 8 batters last year. He's walked 1 here in the 9th with 2 out. And ball 2.
Jacob May in the on-deck circle as Jimenez goes out there to try to settle down his closer.
If you put the minimum at just under 51 innings pitched, Brandon Kinsler was tied for the 3rd fewest walks in baseball last year.
Couple that with Phil Hughes, who has as good a control as anybody in the game, and it's no wonder you only have 1 walk all night.
This might be the pitch. 2-0. It's ball 3. Now, do you just say take first? You put the tying run on if you do that.
Now, I got to believe he's trying to throw a strike.
You let Soto swing?
No, I don't.
Even with the 2 home runs yesterday?
Nope.
3-0. He takes.
Took 93 right down the middle. That was a take all the way. Trying to induce Kinsler to walk himself into a winning run at the plate situation.
3 balls and a strike. Tying run at the plate with Soto. Kinsler misses inside. It's a movable plate, and the Sox are taking advantage. 2 on, 2 out. Winning run comes to the plate.
Neil Allen going out there to have a chat. Giovanni Soto will give way to a pinch runner. It's Yolmer Sanchez carrying with him the tying run at first base. Good night catching for Gio. And there is Yolmer. He'd love nothing but to see a gapper. Outfield will be playing deeper all the way around than they would normally play against Jacob May. So he was inserted in the ball game defensively for Leury Garcia. Leury, who was 1 for 3 with a double, turned it over to Jacob May.
What a time for your first major league hit. '25-year-old center fielder who said he felt like he entered spring training as an underdog. He breaks camp with the team and now can win the game. On the ground, second base. That will do it. The Twins survive. Sox strand 2 as Dozier throws out May. 3-1 your final score. Harrell walks in the inning. Sox can't take advantage. Twins win the opener and move to 4-0. We'll wrap it after this.